Hello, you guys. We are back after, oh my gosh, what seems like a very long hiatus. I am looking forward to kind of catching you guys up, going through some post-show data. I have Dexa results pulled up, and I also have some stage shots pulled up. So my vision is to keep this to 20 minutes. I think I can cover everything I want to in 20 minutes. So if you're interested in those things, hang out with me and we'll go through some data. So let's actually start by let's look at the DEXA first, and then we'll do stage shots, and then that will kind of transition into why I've chosen to reverse or stop competing this year. So these are my DEXA results. And I actually, yeah, I went to, it was a little place at UT. It was awesome. They were super helpful. And we did this DEXA, let's do this. Let's put this over here for a second, because then we can see what days. So let's see, the first show I did was this day, the 30th. So these two DEXA scans, okay, so the 27th, I did a DEXA scan on the 27th, and I did a DEXA scan on the 29th. So the reason I wanted to go back and do it again so soon was I was like super depleted. We had done our depletion days. So, right, like super low carb days. And I went the morning after those depletion days. And I was just curious if my results would be any different going back after these high carb days. So let's see if we can zoom in more and maybe move this guy. There we go. All right, so here are the results. So the first day I went, my body weight was 140.2 pounds. They asked me to come in fasted, but they told me I could drink a little bit of water and coffee. So that's what I did. Let's see, my fat mass on the first DEXA was 13.8 pounds, lean mass 120. And then this was so crazy. When I came back after the refeeds, my body weight 139.2, so down a pound. And then my fat mass came down 0.7 pounds. And lean mass decreased a teensy bit, kind of negligible. And then my body fat the first day was 9.8%. And then when I went back again, it was 9.4. So, are these significant differences? Like, maybe not. It was still interesting. And what the lab people told me is that, like, the difference in lean mass could easily be like water weight, but they were surprised to see so much of a change in fat mass between those two readings so close together. So it was interesting. Also, I think this just speaks volumes for how much further we pushed during this diet phase to get down below 10% in the 10% body fat range versus where we were last year, closer to 12%. That 2% is it's not the same 2% as going from 20% to 18%. Yeah, that was pretty intense. And so, I mean, I think again, in terms of if you think about preparing for the for the stage, if you think about doing a contest prep, as only a fat loss phase, I feel like you're not really thinking it through entirely, because it's not who gets on stage the leanest. It's who gets on stage, you have to be conditioned, but you also still have to retain as much muscle tissue as possible. So it's kind of well, it is kind of a competitive fat loss, but it's competitive fat loss while maintaining the amount of lean tissue. So, I mean, in terms of like winning, what did we do that was good? Like, we maintained the exact same amount of lean tissue and lost an additional 2% body fat this year. So, I mean, we definitely did a lot of things really well. So that was the DEXA. So then, okay, so let's look at kind of, oh, Lord, you guys, I'm just like, I'm showing up for you. I'm giving you the uncomfortable things. So this is my stage shot. Just don't look at my face. This is my stage shot from last year, from my very first bodybuilding show ever. Um, so if you guys have been around, you know, so I'll make this brief. I did a fat loss phase literally for Instagram, and a few weeks, like the last week of my fat loss phase, my sister talked me into doing a photo shoot with a brand that she works with, and I hired my current coach Sam to help me just like cut water for that photo shoot. And long story short, he convinced me to get on stage, and 3 weeks later, 1, 2, 3. This is what the result was. So, I mean, it's not great, but let's go through a couple pictures. So this is 3 weeks of learning how to pose. So like I had great posing coaches, but I'm really uncomfortable in heels, and being comfy on stage is not my thing. Also being comfy like in a bikini and like earrings and stuff, not my thing. So a lot of uncomfortable factors were going on. This is my back shot from last year. So you can't really see my delts too much. And this is kind of blurry, my hamstrings. The glute definition wasn't bad. And honestly, I think if I could have posed better, it would have been even better. And then, oh God. Free entertainment for you guys, okay? It's free, no charge. I don't even know if I can look at this. That's okay. We all start somewhere, right? So I mean, this is not me being critical like of my body. This is me like looking at like, hey, in this sport of bodybuilding and like what the ideal aesthetic is, like this is me talking about that. So like my midsection here, like no control of that whatsoever. I don't really have much of like an X frame, which is kind of what the judges are looking for: broad shoulders, narrow waist, like quad sweep. So this picture is just kind of a hot mess. But you know what? Getting on stage last year, it kind of just like, it helped me know what to expect. So that this year when we went into it, the stage part wasn't like, it was still uncomfortable, but it wasn't just like this brand new thing. So I am glad I did the show last year, even though I like can barely look at these pictures. All right. So then these are the stage shots from the first show I did this year, which was this one in Austin, Texas. Also, just something to be aware of when you're looking at stage shots is like, there's so many factors that go into how these look other than like your body, like the tan. Like if your tan isn't super dark, you lose a lot of definition. The lighting on stage, the photographer angles, etc. So it's always hard to know, like, hey, how much did I improve my physique, or is it just like better tan and better lighting? So I mean, this year already, I think you can tell. Let's see. Yeah, I mean, compared to here, let's pull up the other front one too. All right. So compared to the previous year, like, I mean, not that much difference in like delt size. Midsection honestly looks about the same. You know, you could argue that maybe my lats are posed a little bit better. And then I definitely think that you can see more definition in my legs from the front. So I think some improvements there for sure. And then I think I also have pulled up, let me see. Can I get to my favorites, do you think? starred. Let's see. Because I had pulled up my stage shots from Tampa as well. I don't know if it's going to let us look at those. All right, and then the back. I mean, my back posing at this show in Austin was not great because see how I kind of rounded out my delts. That's just because my arms are too wide. I didn't spread my lats very well at all. But even with bad posing, as one of my friends yesterday called it, broken posing on stage, which is just I did work on it, so it is frustrating. But you have to. Stuff takes practice and time, so that's okay. Yeah, I mean, this is just this is I had one set of problems last year and then a different set of problems this year. That's what my interpretation of these two photos is. Let's see if it's going to let me bring up these photos, and it doesn't look like it's going to. All right, well, let's do it this way then. So 2022, let's see if we can get to the other show that I did. Oh no. All right, that's not what we want either. All right, hang in there. Let me try one more thing. Tiana Talent. Because you can search. Oh man, I can just get back to it. Here we go. Okay, this works. All right, so then this was the final show. This was the Tampa show. So, I mean, my front pose, maybe you can see my delts a little bit better. But then my back posing, we definitely improved that a lot. I mean, so if we look at this in comparison to last year's back pose, I mean that's more of the frame that I'm trying to achieve is that broad shoulder, narrow waist situation. So I think you can definitely see some improvements there. But the takeaway after looking at all these pictures for me was that I didn't really put on as much size as I was hoping for. So instead of dieting for another few months, I decided to skirt into off season. So that's what we're gonna do. We're gonna go into off season. And where'd my little loom guy go? I wonder if I can move him over here. Oh well. All right, so we're going into off season. So what does that look like? That means we are trying to gain back some body fat right now because if I want to gain muscle tissue, the first thing I need to do is put back on some weight. For women, I don't know if there's an optimal body fat percentage to gain muscle, but there's definitely a less than optimal, and essential body fat levels, that 10 to 12% range is definitely less than optimal for gaining size. So operation one, gain 5 to 10% of my body weight back, which we're actually doing amazing at. Let's see, I woke up at 137.6 on my first show day. And then I should not have woken up this late, 136.6 on the second show day, but it is what it is. I was probably around 138-ish actually on stage after putting in some carbs, more carbs and stuff. So I'm calling my stage weight 137, 138. And then let's see. I did track all of my food because in this range, I wasn't really sure if I was going to be competing again or where's my... I don't know. Okay. I wasn't really sure if I was going to be competing again, so I was just kind of trying to keep my calories around 2,400. And then there it is. And then once I kind of figured out that I wasn't competing anymore, um, Sam and I decided to just go ahead and bump up to like 2,700 to try and get back up to that like 5% body weight gain, which we're actually sitting at like pretty well right now, like hanging out around 145. Um, the other like big question mark that I have in terms of like what does this scale weight actually mean is no exaggeration. I've literally been eating between 4 to 5 pounds of like plant food every day. So tons of fruit, um, carrots, lettuce, bell peppers, tomatoes, Brussels sprouts, mushrooms. I mean, you name it. Like, I've been eating a lot of plants. And I've been doing that because they sound good. And I haven't felt full in months, months, and months. So at this point, I'm like, I want to feel satisfied. And so I've just been eating more plant food to help me feel more satisfied. Um, if I were to try to eat like 2,700 calories, I think from like, a normal amount or like what you would think of as like protein, carb, fat, like balanced meals, like I would still be really fucking hungry because to be totally honest, my brain is still hungry even when my stomach is like uncomfortably full with like plant things. So is this like a good strategy? Like, I don't know. It's just what I'm trying right now. Like, I'm in full on experimentation mode. This is only my second show that I'm recovering from. And the first one, I didn't really, I mean, I was lean, but I didn't get like nearly as lean as I was this year. So I'm just in a totally different like ballpark in terms of like post show recovery. So I'm willing to kind of try some different stuff this year. Um, I don't know how much longer I will like continue to eat that many plants for because I mean, it's also not super fun to walk around bloated all day, but it's just this weird like, well, do I want to like feel full and bloated or do I want to just like continue walking around feeling hungry? So it's just kind of like um, been a strange adventure so far. But I think my check-in day with Sam is today. I would, my thought would be to leave my calories right where they are. I feel like they're solid. It felt really good to get back in the gym this week. We kind of just called this week like well, I called it like a fuck around and find out week, but just almost like get back in the gym, do what feels good, nothing formal. Just kind of like letting me experiment with some movements I might want to include in this next meso, letting me just kind of play around a little bit. So that felt really good. And by good, I mean I enjoyed training and I'm sore as shit because I mean, training in between these two shows is like super minimal. So I haven't had like a true training session and I mean really a couple weeks, like 2+ weeks. So yeah, it felt really good to like get in the gym and get after it. Um, so yeah, we're planning to start a new mesocycle on Monday. And I mean, looking at those pictures, I feel like it's clear. Like I want to hammer on my delts pretty hard. The nice thing about that is I can do that without um, like too much systemic fatigue. So I think still like back, lats, and I had a little light bulb moment in the gym yesterday with how to train my lats. So back, lats, and then I would love to bring up my quads and hamstrings because um, I don't know, like they feel good when I'm not super lean and then I get lean and I feel like I have shrimp legs. So I would like to not have shrimp legs anymore. And I want better hamstrings. So we're going to spend the next X number of months, I don't know how many, freaking getting after it and building. Um, you know, my patient's hat, Tiana Brain, is like comfy waiting to get on stage until 2024. And I really think that that would be like in my best interest long term to like take a full year and work on growing. So that's kind of what I'm envisioning right now. I'm also giving myself permission to change my mind because so much stuff is moving around right now. So, but that's my like current thought is let's take a full year off. Not worry about dieting, let myself, my brain, body, spirit recover, and just, yeah, do the building part of the bodybuilding thing. Well, if you freaking hung in there with me this long, like gold star for you. Thank you. I love you guys. If you have questions, comments, just pop them below, and I'll do my best to get back to you. All right, I'll see you guys soon.